Hello, good evening, everybody. It's fun Tuesday evening again. And due to a lot of circumstances, I had to borrow a PowerPoint from somebody who's significantly more qualified than what I am, and I could ever hope to be. So I found a very good PowerPoint from John Miller, who, as we know, is the head of our SAB, or Scientific Advisory Board. And it is on magnesium and the power of magnesium. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully I can do a little bit of justice on the PowerPoint that he presented overseas a while back. Make sure that this thing is actually working. There we go. Right, so John Miller is probably one of the most experienced people in nutrition that I know. I still hope to meet him one day in person. I have met a couple of the members of the SAB over the years, and it's been amazing. But John Miller is not only the director of the Scientific Advisory Board, but he's also a product technologist and researcher. So tonight we're talking about magnesium. Magnesium is a mineral. So what are the benefits of magnesium? Why do we need it? What's so important about it? Magnesium is vital for all sorts of different things, from neurologic, which is your brain, through muscular, through cardiovascular, which is your heart, through skeletal, which is what keeps us upright, through to our immune system, and the metabolic health. And that is basically keeping everything running the way that it should be. And it plays its largest role. Magnesium is essential for energy production. And we need magnesium for making ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. And that is the principal molecule for storing and transferring energy in cells. Once again, we work from our cells upwards. If your cells are not operating correctly, you are not operating correctly. And ATP is our cellular energy currency, sort of like money in the bank. So if you're feeling poorly, you probably are poor in the amount of magnesium you got in your system, because it fuels hundreds of reactions in our body, from protein synthesis to DNA and RNA making, hormone production, etc. This is quite a bit of a technical slide, so I'm not going to get too involved with all of that. But this is where magnesium is working in your cellular energy production. Now, magnesium and calcium work together. For many years, we've had CalMag, which is calcium and magnesium. The ideal ratio for this is 2:1. So we should have 2 parts of calcium to 1 part of magnesium. They need each other to work correctly, because if you only have calcium, you're going to have problems. If you only have magnesium, you're going to have problems because you can't utilize your calcium properly then. So how much do we actually need? Apologies, some of these slides are a little bit slow. So the daily reference intake is what we now, is the new terminology for what we need on a daily basis. For ladies, you're needing 310 to 320 milligrams. Men are needing 400 to 420 milligrams of magnesium daily. So where do we find magnesium? We find it in the dark green leafy veggies, in nuts, in whole grains, in fish, legumes, and fruits. Now, the magnitude of low magnesium. What happens if your magnesium levels are low? Now, nearly 50% of all adults and 70 to 80% of older adults, and sadly, I think they're talking about people who are 60 plus as the older adults, have a low magnesium intake and status, meaning they have a low level of magnesium in their system. Why don't we get enough magnesium? Levels of magnesium in the diet are decreasing through poor food choice, refined diets, and that equates to not enough overall intake. The bioavailability, which is a big fancy word for meaning what your body can actually utilize. You can have anything basically in your body, but if your body cannot utilize it, it's absolutely pointless. Because if you can eat chalk, which is calcium, but if it's in a form that your body doesn't recognize and cannot use, it's useless. So up to 60 to 70% of food-based magnesium is not absorbed because lifestyle factors interfere with absorption. Levels of magnesium in foods are decreasing because it's decreasing in the crop soil. So the magnitude of the problem, intake of food, that's both food and dietary supplements, as it decreases, so continued low intake eventually depletes body magnesium stores, and this leads to your bodily functions becoming impaired. Remember, the ATP part in the cells, it's your bank. If you take your bank account and you keep withdrawing and you don't put in, what's going to happen to your bank account? Exactly the same thing. It happens in our system. If we keep using magnesium, and we've seen what it's good for from the head to the toe, if you keep using magnesium, but you're not replenishing it in the form of food or supplements or both, we are going to run out eventually, and that is not a good idea. What are the consequences of low magnesium status? You end up with a heart rhythm that is irregular. You end up with muscle cramps, not just because of lack of calcium. You end up with poor metabolic health. And I think we all know people who have got these sort of issues. So some of the symptoms that are linked to low magnesium status: neurological, so behavioral disturbances, irritability, fatigue, anxiety, impaired memory, and cognitive function. From the muscular perspective, you experience cramps, weakness, tics, and tics are these sort of funny twitches of the eye or the lip or various facial tics and things. Spasms, impaired coordination, tremors, vertigo, where you're just feeling dizzy all the time. Cardiovascular symptoms, an irregular or rapid heartbeat, or coronary spasms. Skeletal, weak bones, low bone density. So it's not just calcium that causes this. Metabolic, poor glucose control, which, in other words, diabetic. Now, all of these symptoms can be linked to other things. Osteoporosis, muscle cramping, which is, that can be an indication of a lot of different things. And remember, your heart is a muscle. If you're having a cramp in your leg, you can have a cramp in your heart. Cramp in your leg, you'll survive. Cramp in your heart, well, maybe not. So all of these things can become problems. So be aware of symptoms. As we've said so often, listen to your body. But there's good news, because supplementation is a good solution. If you're not getting it from your diet, you need to supplement. And we have a magnesium complex that has been put together quite an interesting way. We spoke earlier about the amounts that you're needing on a daily basis. Well, one tablet of this magnesium complex will give you 175 milligrams of magnesium in a food source that your body can utilize. Remember, minerals are not generally easily absorbed. They need to be chelated and from a food source. And we've got two different types of magnesium in this supplement. We've got the Trimag blend and we've got a Phytomag blend. So the Trimag blend comes from minerals, your magnesium glycinate, your magnesium oxide, and trimagnesium citrate. And the Phytomag blend is beet, kale, broccoli, and radish. We're going to get into this a little bit more just now. So the multiple forms are there to give us multiple benefit. The magnesium is a double amino acid chelate, otherwise known as a bisglycinate. That's the big fancy technical term. We don't have to worry about that. It is an organically bound magnesium citrate, and it is natural earth form magnesium oxide, because all of these forms are things that your body can recognize and therefore utilize. Magnesium bisglycinate was pioneered by our very own Dr. Arthur First, who developed the chelation process in the first place. This is the first and only of its kind, derived from beet, broccoli, kale, and radish. Now, how many people can say that they eat these things on a daily basis? I know I can't. I did have broccoli for supper tonight as part of my supper, but that is just one of these 4 different things. We've got an extremely rich scientific heritage in the form of our scientific advisory board. I don't think we actually realize as distributors how privileged we are to have these people heading up our board, formulating all of our products. This is a unique group of people who are in turn linked to further scientists, not politically captivated scientists, but true, genuine scientists. We won't get into that other bit just yet. And I think I need to do a talk one night on our scientific advisory board and all the unique products that they have developed for us over the decades. Now, who can benefit? I would say it's safe to say all of us, from children to youngsters to elderly. If you are alive, if you are moving, if you are standing, and you're utilizing energy, you need magnesium. We can all benefit because it is vitally important in the body. It is the big fancy word is a ubiquitous mineral, because we need magnesium for so many reactions. We usually don't get enough from our food supply. Your magnesium works on the ATP to give you cellular energy. So if you're feeling tired or drained, yeah, maybe you are a little bit low in the threonine, but you're probably a little bit low in your magnesium too. And also the soil that that crops are being grown in these days does not have enough magnesium. So you need to take magnesium now. I have magnesium every evening. It sits next to my CalMag. So just before going to sleep, I have 2 CalMag and 1 magnesium to help to boost my magnesium supply during the day and at night. And I can tell you, sleep takes on a whole new form. As I said, the slide is a little bit slow. So where else do we find magnesium? We find magnesium in our Formula 4, our CalMag, our multi-mineral, our Pro Vitality, the Near Life Shake, and the Sports Performance Shake. So as we went through earlier and we saw what our daily intake should be, remember, supplementation is exactly that. It is in conjunction to what you're getting in your diet. So food, a balanced diet, is your key and should always be your key. And then you add in what you're not getting. So if you're an athlete, you're low on magnesium, use a supplement because you're probably not getting everything you need from your food. Unfortunately, we are currently out of stock of multimineral. So then take 2 magnesium a day instead of having it with everything else. But looking at all of these products, if you are taking all of these on a daily basis, and I know I'm taking more than half of these on a daily basis, check and see how much each one is giving you of magnesium. That way you can work out, remembering 175 milligrams of magnesium in a magnesium supplement. So work out how much do you still need to add in after you've deducted what you've got in your food and that you're taking in the other products. So be aware, look at all those things. Always read your labels. That, for everybody, is the presentation. It's over. So it's a pretty short and sweet one tonight. Does anybody have any testimonies, any questions on the magnesium? I will try my very best to answer them.
Well done.
Well done, Sean.
Thank you.
And for your question about who's had those vegetables today, I don't think we've had any of those this month.
Exactly. We have broccoli on a fairly regular basis, but...
So do we, but that's it. And beetroot, we like beetroot.
So are any of you taking magnesium, our magnesium supplement on a regular basis?
Yeah, just like you.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. And what have you found? How has your experience been?
Sean, let's put it this way. When I don't take magnesium, those symptoms that you listed there are very real. The vertigo and the coordination, especially at my advanced years.
You're the upper level of the extreme of the spectrum over there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. I must say, yeah, go for it.
No, I found like you, it makes a terrific difference in sleeping. If I just take a calcium, I'll sleep, but you add the magnesium and you have a good night's sleep.
I got that tip from Dr. Eddie Nambesi. And when it first came out, I actually used it just before I went for a run, which made quite a significant difference because I found I had that little bit of extra stamina and boost. I must say I haven't been taking it recently during my running, so I think I need to do that again. And then Eddie said, take it at night because it helps you to sleep better. And I thought, it's interesting. And yes, it does. It works really, really well.
Yeah.
CalMag puts you to sleep.
Yeah. I'm having quite a...
CalMag puts you to sleep and magnesium keeps you asleep.
Yes. John?
You guys take your magnesium at night?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, why am I taking it in the morning?
You can.
You take 2 in the morning and you take 1 at night.
Oh, no. Yeah, okay. All right. Well,
2 in the morning for energy. 2 in the morning for energy and 1 at night for sleep.
To sleep. Okay. No, I don't need sleeping, Jen. I go on a plank with nails like a yogi and I'll pass out. I go horizontal and I'll pass out. But yeah, no, the veggies, I need to eat more kale. I live on broccoli and beetroot and a few others that I love. But I don't do the radish and the kale very often. So I'd need to add this to the list. It's quite interesting.
John Sheard?
Yeah. Thanks, Sean.
No problem.
I found been giving out samples just of the CalMag, and so many of the men and women have come back and said, "Man, we are sleeping so much better." Now
it makes a huge difference.
That magnesium will actually take them back to their babyhood, and they'll sleep very well.
Yes.
Oh well.
You've got to be careful about that sleeping like a baby, though, because that generally means you wake up every 2 hours crying. Just you know.
Yeah.
I don't know who told me the story, but somebody was given the magnesium, and the lady was on sleeping pills. And she decided to wean herself off the sleeping pills for a while and stay on the magnesium. She woke up more alert, less groggy, and had a better day. She's now totally off the sleeping pills and only on the magnesium.
Yeah, because there's no side effects, you see. So I'm suppose that's what it is. Yeah.
Yes. So even with the cramping and things, we've always learned about CalMag being good for cramps, but magnesium, because I've got to remember this, but calcium causes a contraction and magnesium causes a relaxation. So that's why they use the two together. And often medical personnel will tell people, oh, you need more calcium. But they forget that you're needing extra things as well. You need, because nature doesn't work in single atoms. It works together in synergy. So calcium needs to work with magnesium. And then the vitamin D is there more for bone strength as well. But the three items work together in synergy, which is why it has been developed like that.
I had a case recently. The guy was having serious leg cramps. I put him on magnesium, and he told me the other day he's had to stop, and the cramps are back, but he's had his parathyroid removed. So it looks like that when you have parathyroid problems, calcium's a no-no.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
And multi-mineral, does that also affect him?
Sorry, sure, I didn't hear.
Does multi-mineral also affect him?
I haven't tried that.
Okay. I must do a little bit I'll do a bit of research and find out why.
Yeah, he's the fellow I told you had his ankle crushed. And now he's got a big lump in the sort of arch of his foot. And the doctor that he's seen says that could be a calcium, I don't know, calcium blob.
Deposit. Deposit, yeah.
That's from all the false, the synthetic calcium that he's probably taken before you put him on ours, John.
Okay, could be.
Yeah, because with calcium, again, calcium is a mineral. And if it's not chelated, this is why the doctors will often tell you that if you're taking too much calcium, it is bad for you because it can lead to arteriosclerosis, which is correct if you're taking a calcium carbonate, a non-chelated calcium carbonate, because calcium carbonate technically is rock. It's in fact chalk. The stuff that you write on a chalkboard, that is calcium carbonate. So if you have too much of that, yes, you can have a buildup that can lead to hardening of the arteries. What the difference is with ours is that it is, ours is sourced from seashells, if I'm not mistaken, or eggshells, in fact. Ours is sourced from eggshells, and it is chelated, meaning that it is bonded with an amino acid. And because it's a natural food source, your body can actually utilize it more than just store it. So it uses it in the bones and in the muscles and nerves and everything as well. It utilizes it and then gets rid of the waste. Instead of just storing it and allowing it to go back to its rock formation, which can then cause extra problems.
Okay.
Is there anything to the transdermal application of magnesium?
It should work as well, but it is not a food source. So to be quite honest, I don't know if tests and things have been done on the amount of absorption that happens through transdermal. I do know that if you are having a lot of sunburn or a lot of cramping, a lot of athletes will say, soak in a bath of Epsom salts. Epsom salts is magnesium. So it does work from that perspective. I often recommend people with sore, tired feet to put about a tablespoon of Epsom salts in a little container of lukewarm water and soak your feet in that. So probably the patch would work much the same way, where the magnesium will go through the skin and obviously be absorbed by the skin cells. But how much of that is taken up in the rest of the body, I can't tell you.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to stop recording.